Hi guys, it's Generic. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing lesson 15 of Code.org's Express course for the 2021 year course. Question 1 is a video. Watch through that. Pause this while you watch that. Hopefully it's going to explain some of the same types of things that I do. I'm just going to use some different analogies to explain them to you. And I'm going to go ahead and let you do question 2 on your own as well. It will go green no matter which one you pick, but obviously try to read the question and answer to the best of your ability. So let's go ahead and go to number 3, which is the first question where you actually have to work through and code with Blockly. By the way, if you enjoy these, please down below let me know which lessons you'd like me to do. I started with lesson 14. This is my second one, lesson 15, but I plan on going all the way through 28, which is the highest lesson, and then going back and doing 1 through 13. But if there's one that you don't want to wait that long for, that would really help you, let me know down in the comments and maybe I can skip around for you a little bit. Okay, so let's get started on question 3. It says more clouds. Check underneath every cloud to see if it is hiding a flower before you get nectar. If there's a flower underneath the cloud, the bee will need to get nectar once. Make sure you always read up here because it'll usually give you key things like that. Like if there's a flower, it will only need to get nectar once. Remember, not all clouds hide the same thing. So if you watch the video on number 1 over here, it explained conditionals, if statements, if this, then this. So if there's a flower, get nectar once, because it says only once. And a couple more questions, I believe on question 9, if I'm remembering correctly, we're going to do if-else statements. So first thing we need to do is move forward to. Easy peasy, similar to what we did in the beginning of the last lesson. It's going to move us forward to and go right here. And then we're going to turn right. And there are never going to be flowers right here because there are no clouds with question marks. So we know that that's correct. Forward, forward, right. And now that I'm not doing the Minecraft lesson with the music in the background, maybe I'll unmute it so we can get all their glorious sounds. And also remember that there are hints up here. This little light bulb with the 2 means that there are 2 different hints for this lesson, but we knew this wasn't the correct answer. We weren't done yet. So right now there's 1 flower here under that cloud and nothing under that cloud. Let's reset. So we know that our move forward, and turn right work. You could also do 1 move forward and a repeat 2, but it's the same amount of blocks. And remember, we're trying to code as efficiently as possible. So it doesn't actually make it any less amounts, lines of code. So it's not any more efficient. So it doesn't matter which one you use. Forward, forward, right. And then we're going to move forward to go to this block. And if a flower turns up underneath there, we're going to tell it to get nectar. So actually, you know what? I was going to show you something, but let's just do it in a minute. And we needed it to do that twice. Now this time, it does make sense. What happened to my number? That was strange. I typed the 2 and it didn't show up. Did you guys see that? It does make sense to use a repeat 2 because there are 2 other blocks in here. So if I used if at flower do get nectar, if at flower do get nectar, that would be 4 blocks, whereas a repeat 2 makes it only 3 blocks. So it is a bit more efficient. It's also the amount of blocks they want you to do it in. It says workspace 8 out of 8, so we know we've done it with the right number of blocks. This time, by the way, oh shoot, I forgot to put my move forward inside it. I'll do that in a sec. I goofed. Everybody does, right? This time, instead of having 1 flower right here and nothing here, it had 1 for both of them. And this was where I goofed. It needs to also move forward twice, which I didn't drag into there and meant to. So let's do this again. Now there's only 1. So it moved forward to that second block with a cloud on it. And if there was a flower there, it got the nectar. But there wasn't any this time, so it didn't need to get the nectar. That way, you can use conditionals in your games or whatever you're creating so that if this, then this. If there's a flower, get nectar. If there's not a flower, it won't get nectar. Same thing, like if the health bar on your character is down to 1, then use a potion, let's say, right? If you want like an automatic potion in a game where it's going to revive your character, or if it gets down to 3, maybe use an automatic potion. An example that comes to right off the top of my head is in Fallout 76 and Fallout 4 and possibly New Vegas even. I can't remember how far back, but there is something where you can have a stim pack. That's a thing to regain health, and you can set it up. There are certain like feats that you can add to yourself, and you can set it up so it automatically, if health gets to whatever, it automatically renews it. That's how the behind the scenes code of that works. I hope that's kind of clear. I'll see if I can think of another example for a future question. Let's go to 4. I know most of you are just here to get the basics and understand for courses, and you are not actually planning on becoming game developers. But for those of you who are, I thought that'd be a nice little example. Question 4. You can only collect nectar from flowers, but you can check any space to see if there is a flower. If there is a flower under any of these clouds, the bee will need to collect nectar once. Again, it's telling us only once. We know that we're going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces. So I'm just going to right off the bat get a repeat 7 because we know. See, again, didn't show up. So strange. Something's funky with my laptop. And yes, even though I'm a gamer, I'm doing this on a laptop. So our bee is going to move forward once. If at flower, get nectar. And we want it to do that those 7 times because there will be flowers behind some of these and not others. Let's see how that goes. We have the right number of blocks. So there's nothing there, so it keeps going. And I want to show you something quickly. You also have this step button on a lot of your questions. And if you're having a hard time figuring out where your code is going wrong, it's useful to click the step button. So for example, nothing went wrong in this one, but I'm going to use it to explain something. If I click step, it is first going to move forward. Then if it's at a flower, which it is, it's going to get nectar. Then it's going to get the nectar, repeat the second time, and keep going. On these ones, these blank ones where they're turned out to not be a flower and it doesn't need to get nectar, when it gets to this one, if at flower, it goes, am I at a flower? And looks down, and it's not. So it skips this step. It doesn't get the nectar because it's not at a flower. And then it continues its code, which tells it next to go here, which is the repeat 7. So that continues doing it. Let's run it one more time. See how it's different each time? By the way, a couple of these questions, when they coded the questions, it's the same every time underneath, but that one was different. Sometimes there were flowers and spots and sometimes there weren't, and it changed. Question 5. In this puzzle, we know that every flower has exactly 1 nectar, but the flowers aren't spaced evenly. Get all of the nectar using as few blocks as possible. So it looks to me like we could do the exact same thing. Even though there are no clouds covering up the flowers and we can see where they are, if we use that same exact code that we just did on our last question, on question 4, which you could even go back and copy it if you wanted, but I'll show you what it was. It was a repeat 7. Hey, my 7 worked this time. A move forward, if at flower, get nectar, and see how it has this little 1, it's telling you you need to use 1 of those. So even though we know where the flowers are, as opposed to telling it move forward, get nectar, move forward, move forward, move forward, get nectar, which is not really a pattern and a lot of code if you wrote it all out, we can still use this same code from question 4, even if we know where the nectar needs to be drawn, I guess, gotten from. So there we go. It doesn't have to be when it's hidden behind a cloud. Question 6, collect all of the nectar using as few blocks as possible, which is always the goal. It's very similar except in a down as opposed to a cross. So we could still tell it, I believe it's even 7. Let's count though. It's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope, it's 6. So we could even do a repeat 6. Back to the number being weird. Move forward. If at flower, get nectar. Now let's make sure that works for our one side before we continue on. Perfect. So we know this side works. We could tell it to turn left. Remember, that's our right, but it is the bee's left because he's facing down or south, if you want to think of it as a map. You're going to go this direction and then come back up again. But this is another repeat 6, move forward if at flower get nectar right here, this whole stretch. So here's what I would do. And I believe this is what they want you to do since you only have the option of 10 blocks, would tell him to turn left because it's his left. Move forward twice. Turn left again so that he is here. And then have him rerun this. The straight line, the long, side, and then maybe even the short side again. So if he does the short side again, it's no big deal. It's just going to take him back here to the start, right? It's just going to, let me just show you. I think it'll be a little easier to do it while it's running. So if I put all of what I've already done, that gets him down this long side and the short side and turned and ready to go again, we can tell him to do it a second time, long side and short side. If we just put a 2 in here. So strange, you would think it's not doing the numbers because the caps lock isn't on, but there is no caps lock. I don't even have a little 10 key on this keyboard. Really not sure what it's about. I'll stop complaining about it though. So now he's going to turn and run the whole code again, long side. And that's disappointing they did that. Technically, it should have run this again. He should have gone over here and stopped here. They are not actually doing the code we told it to do, which is frustrating. And I'm actually going to put in a little complaint, an oops, so to speak, for glitches. They have those on code.org. If you ever find, by the way, something on code.org and you are convinced that you've done it the correct way and something is wrong, or maybe there's more than one way to do something and it's only accepting one and not the other. For example, lessons 7 and 8 on this 2021 Express course have several questions that are that way, where you can have what is the right answer, but it will not acknowledge it and let you continue. Send them into code.org. Help them out. They're a nonprofit. They don't make any money from this, and they can use all the help they can get. They will appreciate it. Or, drop it down in the comment and I'll do it for you. I'll double check and make sure it's actually incorrect, and then I'll send it. Okay, question 7. Now I just want to make honey. So we're switching from collecting nectar to making honey. Some of these clouds might have honeycombs under them. Be sure to check if a honeycomb is hiding behind each cloud. If there is a honeycomb, the bee will only need to make honey once. So I apologize. Those of you who are not new to this channel know that I have a deaf dog who has special needs and has cerebellar hyperplasia, which is kind of like cerebral palsy for dogs, sort of. And she doesn't know how loud she is. And she sometimes barks when she needs something. So I apologize. Let's do number 7 though. Now I just want to make honey. Some of these clouds might have honeycombs. We read that part. We're going to move forward 2. Oops, come on. And then turn left because it is the bee's left. And then move forward 2 more. And it would be fine if we turned left again at the end. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. I'm showing you that because that means these are repeats. That's something that we can repeat, right? This is what I do. I usually code it all out and then drag it over here when I see any patterns. Like, oh, I can just put this in a repeat too. Or 4 or 7, depending. So I'm going to tell it, forward, forward, if at honeycomb. Put it between that and the left. Make honey and turn left. And I'm going to tell it to do it again. Forward, forward, if at honeycomb, make honey and turn left, because it's fine if it turns left here at the end. Let's see how that goes. Easy peasy. Number 8 is a video introducing if-else blocks, which I'm going to explain just like I did for the video on number 1. Watch it while you pause mine and I will explain kind of the same thing in a more simplistic manner on number 9. All right, hopefully you guys actually watched that video because I can't run it on here. That I believe would be a copyright infringement. Did you watch it? No, seriously, go watch it. I'll wait. Okay, hopefully you actually did it. Number 9 says, sometimes a cloud covers a flower, sometimes it covers a honeycomb. So now we are going to have 2 different things we're looking for. So we need this if-else block. If it's at a flower, do this. If it's at anything else, do this. So if it's not a flower, and you see there's a drop-down box where we can change it to honeycomb as well, which will be useful in future questions. Use the if-else block to collect nectar at flowers and make honey at honeycomb. Remember, if there's a flower, the bee only needs to get nectar once. So we still know exactly how much nectar there is. They're not throwing in the curveball of it being different amounts of nectar, which they will do soon. If there is a honeycomb, the bee only needs to make honey once. So first of all, we know we need to move forward twice. That's the easy part. Then, sometimes right here, there's going to be a flower to get nectar from, and sometimes there's going to be a honeycomb. They kind of imply that there's always one or the other, but I'm going to show you something. So if at a flower, get nectar, else make honey. We're going to assume there's a honeycomb there. There's also a way to do it if there's neither there. All right, there was a flower. Let's try it again, make sure it still works. Oh, there's still a flower. I think we have found one of the ones where they didn't actually take the time to code it so that it changes. Oh, it did. Spoke too soon. Spoke too soon. Maybe all the little comments I've put in over the years, maybe they changed this one, or maybe I'm remembering the wrong question. So it did work when there was a honeycomb. Let's go on to 10. This is another multiple choice. No matter which one you pick, it will still go green, which is points for most of you that are doing this for a course, but please actually try. It's kind of a little check for your progress. This one, number 11, is a challenge question, and we don't skip them. I'm not afraid of you, Mr. 11, or Miss 11, whatever. So we're going to do basically the same thing we just did on the last question. There's one more block in here, but we're going to do it 4 times. So right off the bat, I know whatever we're going to do for all 4 sides of this square. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my repeat 4 in right away. Some people like to do it at the end. I like to do it now because it's easier to just put the code inside it and not have to drag it over there later. And then sometimes you lose blocks and it gets all messed up. You can't remember what you had. So 4 times. We're going to move forward. 1, 2, 3, move forward. Oh, wait a minute. I see a way we can shorten that. We can nest a repeat 3 and just put 1 move forward in it, right? That's less blocks. 1, 2, as opposed to the 1, 2, 3 we used to have. Ta-da! Okay, so 4 sides, we're going to move forward 3 times. Then, just like the last question, if we're at a flower, we're going to get nectar. If not, we're going to know under that cloud is a honeycomb, and we're going to make honey. And that should do it. The reason they have 8 out of 8 blocks is because they did not do this nesting, this one loop in another one. You could just put your 3 move forwards in there. But like I always say, you want to do it as efficiently as possible. You want your code to run smoothly, your game to load quickly. So we're doing it in 7. Oh man, I goofed. Somebody tell me what I did. Repeat, move. Oh, I see what I did right there. I accidentally put this inside my move. So I was trying to get nectar or make honey from a flower or a honeycomb, even though it hadn't finished moving forward. So I nested this inside the repeat, which I should not have. I only wanted to do this once at the end of each row. Let's do that again. What'd I forget? Anybody? It's kind of strange doing this here and not in class so that there's nobody to answer, but he needs to turn to his right afterwards before he runs it again. Forgot that too. My goodness. All right, 2 more to go. This one, since it's not a challenge question, I actually think is a little bit easier. We're going to move forward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. So we know we're going to get that repeat 7. We don't have to turn on question 12, so I won't forget it this time. After we've moved forward, each one of these has a cloud, so they might have a flower or a honeycomb. It says, collect all of the nectar or make all the honey. You can only collect nectar from flowers and make honey from honeycombs. Check any space to see if there's a flower or honeycomb. There will only ever be one flower or one honeycomb behind each cloud. So they're still not throwing in that little curveball of multiple nectar or multiple honey. But we will get to it, like I said. We have, if at flower, get nectar, else make honey. And that's the 6 they asked for. So let's run that. All right, last one for lesson 15. Question 13. Conditionals can be helpful even when you know exactly what is in each spot, just like that shorter one that we did. So just because there aren't clouds hiding what's underneath it, you can still use the conditionals. Collect all of the nectar and make all of the honey. So we should be able to use the exact same code we just did. Should be the same amount of spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is. So we're going to do a repeat 7. And we're going to use our move forward. If at flower, get nectar. And you can see they give you the little hint there that you're going to need 1 get nectar block and 1 make honey. They didn't need to do that in code.org, but they've been doing it more and more in recent years. So in the 2021 course, they do it quite a bit. By the way, I've gotten a couple of comments on my last video of when is the 2022 course coming out? No idea. You'd have to ask code.org, but I will tell you, it usually comes out at the beginning of the school year. So probably August or September of 2022 is when the 2022 course will come out, if past years is any indication. There we go. We got it. All right, guys, as usual, please comment down below, like, subscribe, especially since I'm going to be posting more of these every day or two. And please, please, please subscribe anyway, because I would really love to be able to go live on mobile for you guys. People have been asking for help with other things, and I could do that much more easily if I was at 1,000 subscribers, but we're far away from that. So someday we'll see. But if you guys would like some extra tutoring, a little bit of help, or for me to go live mobile for my other types of videos where I go run around on adventures, then please subscribe. Hopefully you find the content useful anyway. Thanks, guys. I'll see you in the next one.